Coming up, blockbuster news from Elanco Animal Health as the animal health giant selects downtown Indianapolis and the high-profile former GM stamping plant site for its new global headquarters campus. Elanco to invest more than $300 million and add hundreds of jobs in Indiana. Indiana Secretary of Commerce Jim Schellinger here with details on how the deal came together and what it means for downtown Indy and other parts of the state as well. And Tipmont REMC says by the end of the year, it will have installed fiber service to more than 7,500 homes, businesses, and institutions in 5 counties. CEO Ron Holcomb joins us to explain what is fueling a boost for rural broadband connectivity. Plus,
I'm Mary Rachel Redman. What does a sisterly bond and a Brickyard legend have in common? The answer lies on the near northwest side of downtown Indy. I'll tell you how this microbrewery is booming even during the pandemic. All of that coming up.
Details on those stories and much more ahead on this edition of Inside Indiana Business. Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gary Dick. In our top story this week, Greenfield-based Elanco Animal Health making a major statement about its future in Indiana. After a multi-state search, the second largest independent animal health company in the world unveiling plans to establish its new global headquarters in downtown Indianapolis, all part of a $300 million investment to make Indiana its base of operations. The global headquarters envisioned as a 45-acre campus along the White River in downtown Indy at the former GM stamping plant site, one of the most attractive undeveloped sites in the Midwest. An expanded White River State Park and multi-use development are envisioned at a site that would be connected to the downtown Mile Square by 2 new bridges. Elanco will also maintain manufacturing facilities in Clinton, Indianapolis, and Terre Haute, and center its research and development activities in Indiana as well. In all, Elanco says that massive investment will retain more than 1,600 jobs, create more than 570 jobs as well over the next decade. With more on the blockbuster deal and its potential impact, pleased to be joined, as always, by Indiana Secretary of Commerce Jim Schellinger. And Jim, as always, welcome to the program.
Always good to be with you, Gary.
This is, again, I say a blockbuster deal. It truly is, I think, on a number of fronts. And I think, first off, this was a multi-state, if you will, a competition. Elanco looked at a number of locations, Kansas City among them, to put this massive investment and chose Indiana and Indianapolis.
That's right, Gary. We couldn't be more excited for Jeff Simmons and Aaron Schott and the Elanco team. We did go through quite a competition, and of course they have a facility they acquired in Bear as an acquisition that's down in Kansas City, which is referred to as the animal health corridor of the world. And we think that this announcement puts Indiana and Indianapolis as the epicenter of animal health. So we're very proud to announce this today.
Let's talk about overall $300 million investment, the centerpiece, this new global headquarters, a campus really, in the former GM stamping plant site right in along the banks of the White River in downtown Indianapolis. Give us an idea of what this site can and will become, because it'll be home to well over 1,000 employees.
That's right. Actually, closer to 1,600, and I'll tell you, it's an amazing site. And you mentioned it being one of the greatest sites in the Midwest. We actually think it's one of the greatest sites in the nation. To have 90-plus acres right there in the heart of a major city, the 12th largest city in the country, we couldn't be happier about that. I think it's going to be a dramatic change. It's going to enliven that sector of the city. Mayor Hawk said it's been great to work with, as has Thomas Cook, the deputy mayor, just exemplary. And of course, with Governor Holcomb's leadership, along with Speaker of the House Todd Houston and the Senate Pro Temp, they've just been great to work with, and all through this entire process. But the site is just magnificent. We'll expand the White River State Park there on the east bank of the west site, and then of course we'll expand, essentially, Gary, we're expanding downtown across the river, which is a big deal. And what a better place to have than the second largest animal health, hopefully the first in not too long, just south of the Indianapolis Zoo. It's just a great, great fit.
Yeah, transformational is used a lot. I think in this context, I think it's appropriate because that can be certainly a transformational project. So big impact here in downtown Indianapolis, but you spread around the state and you look at Clinton, for example, in Vermilion County, Terre Haute and Vigo County, as well as Indianapolis, manufacturing facilities that are getting attention as well as part of this investment.
Yeah, that's, I'll tell you, it can be, the importance of that cannot be overstated. And I also want to talk a little bit about Greenfield because Mayor Fuel has been great to work with out there. And we at IEDC have a huge commitment to the mayor about backfilling the site, making sure that we have those jobs out there in Greenfield, Indiana. Very important. But we competed on a national scale. As you said, a multi-state competition for their headquarters, and being in an urban environment close to the airport was the two top requirements, two top things. And we met the bill very well. It was a stiff competition, I will tell you, and it was very rigorous. So we are very proud to have won that competition.
Yeah, you talk about Elanco being all in on Indiana, and this being in part, big part, about innovation. Research and development activities that Elanco sees not only today but going forward looks to be centered right here in Indiana as well.
Yeah, that's what we're hopeful for, and that's what we've talked to them about. We believe that'll happen, even onshoring some of the R&D. And of course, Gary, you know, these are high-paying jobs. These are extremely high-paying jobs, probably some of the highest in our state. And so it's going to just really increase the per capita income of our state, and it's going to better Hoosiers' lives. And that's what Governor Holcomb is so focused on. You've heard him time and time again: people, people, people. And his leadership on this cannot again be overstated. He has had a personal input on this from day one, and he's been involved every single step along the way. And I'm so grateful that we have a governor that supports our economic development efforts like Governor Eric Holcomb.
Only about 30 seconds left, Jim, but as you look at the impact this can have, a trickle impact, if you will, when you have a major downtown corporate campus looking over the skyline of Indianapolis and using that as maybe a magnet to attract additional investment, whether it's in the ag bioscience space or maybe other industries as well. Is there an impact there?
Certainly. I'm so glad you brought that up because, again, President Daniels has also been instrumental in this. Purdue University, the 6th largest agricultural college in the world. And so they've been very involved in this. And there will be a Purdue presence on this site and a significant Elanco presence on Purdue's campus.
Jim Schillinger is Indiana Secretary of Commerce. He and others have worked for months on this deal. Elanco locating global corporate headquarters in downtown Indianapolis. Jim, as always, thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Gary.
All right. Well, also this week, the Purdue University CME Group Ag Economy Barometer dropped 16 points in November, a month after setting an all-time high. Purdue economists say the decrease in sentiment led by really a more pessimistic view on the future of the ag economy. The barometer dropped to a reading of 167. That survey shows considerably more producers in November said they expect to see a growing list of government regulations and taxes, which could impact their operations. Well, if you live in rural Indiana, then you know one of the biggest barriers to economic success can be a lack of access to high-speed internet. An electric co-op in Montgomery County on a mission to change that dynamic. Up next, details on Tipmont REMC's plan to expand broadband access and why it could be a game changer for thousands of Hoosiers. It's time to go inside innovation, brought to you by Allegion, pioneering safety. Well, since 2018, Tipmont REMC has been a driver in Indiana's rural broadband efforts. As Indiana's 5th largest member-owned rural electric co-op, Tipmont using a $16 million grant from the state's Next Level Connections broadband program to provide high-speed fiber service in unserved areas around the state. Pleased to welcome to the show CEO Ron Holcomb to talk about the plans to add even more homes next year. And Ron, again, welcome to the Inside Indiana Business.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Yes, we have been building to about 2,200 customers connected to this point. We've been at it about 2 years. We'll ultimately pass about 30,000 by 2024. And my hat's off to our board and our team and our leadership that's made all that possible. So it's an exciting time to Tip on.
Okay, you're an REMC. You're about electrification by providing power. Why'd you get into the internet business?
Well, because when you really think about it, electricity is really just a tool. And what it really serves is to make sure that our customers in rural America have security, comfort, and convenience. And in fact, I'm often asked, are you in the utility business? And I tell them, no, we're actually in the security, comfort, and convenience business. And so electricity is a key infrastructure need. Broadband is a key infrastructure need. So therefore, we don't look at it so much from a individual service level as we look at it from a humanistic perspective. Yeah, talk about your footprint and where these fiber connections are going in now. What part of the state? I know you're in the Linden area there in Montgomery County, but talk about the footprint and where this activity is happening. Sure. So we're working in Fountain County, in Montgomery County, and in Tippecanoe County. We have an obligation to serve from our board, so we will ultimately pass every single one of our electric customer service, our members today. We also have customers that are not our electric customers, and those are located within the cities of Lafayette, West Lafayette, and the Purdue University area. Yeah, and we saw some trucks in the video there, WinTech. That was a key acquisition that you made. So you've been very intentional about this move to fiber and to broadband with the acquisition of WinTech just a couple of years ago. That's correct. So as you might imagine in the startup, it's not just access to capital, it's also access to talent. And this gave us I would say at least a 5 to 7 year leg up in getting our broadband project launched by being able to bring on such an exciting and talented team. Hey, before we leave, Ron, the return on investment. You're making an investment and you're doing some things to connect people. What's that return on investment of high-speed broadband to these communities? Yes. So as we were contemplating building broadband, it was really 2 years of study that the board and I had gone through. We asked Purdue University to do an economic study to understand what the economic impact would be. This was a very well done peer-reviewed study, and they concluded that over a 20-year period, this broadband build would stimulate the economy to the tune of about $750 million. Our capital investment plus our operating costs are expected over that same period of time to be about $189 million. So that's a 4-to-1 investment. And when you think about all the different aspects of our life and the commerce that we participate in, be it in telehealth or adult education or any of those types of things, when they have access to this kind of infrastructure, it really does change the economic landscape for the state and for our region. Yeah, very good. A big boost for rural Indiana indeed. Ron Holcomb is the CEO at Tipmont REMC. Ron, thanks for joining us. We'll be following up. I know you got big plans for next year as well. Thanks for joining us. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. Well, how about this for a business success formula? Beer Brewing Butler, a Broad Ripple basement and a business plan that includes a legendary 3-time Indy 500 winner. Around Indiana reporter Mary Rachel Redmond has the story coming up. Here's what's making news now around Indiana. Brought to you by Chapman Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing. The man for all seasons, Chapman, chapmanheating.com. Well, a business plan hatched in a basement by a group of Butler University grads has quickly turned into a booming microbrewery on the near northwest side of Indianapolis. Gugman House Brewing Company has only been open for just over a year, but their beer and historic ties to the Brickyard are attracting Hoosiers from all over, even during the pandemic. Around Indiana reporter Mary Rachel Redmond has more.
Born together, and now in the business of making beer together.
Growing up, we did everything together. We shared a phone through high school. shared a car, went to the same college, we're in the same sorority.
But their appreciation for craft beer happened separately when the identical twins, albeit unknowingly, just so happened to find themselves living in beer meccas in different continents.
We've done everything together in life, mostly except for when Abby moved to Denver with her now husband, and then Derek, my husband, we moved out to Germany for a year. We went and explored all the beer halls, tiny little breweries, or big beer gardens in the middle of the city.
The exact same thing happened to Abby in the Mile High City.
The ability to be outside and appreciate nature paired with the beer culture there. It was really a big community feel there.
When the sisters and their husbands decided to make the move back to Indiana, they found themselves living on the same street in Broad Ripple. And that's where it all started. Home brewing in the basement as a hobby, evolving into let's start a business.
From there, we started working on our business plan. We started looking for a location at the end of 2015.
And they decided on this gym. 1701 Gent Avenue. Not exactly a looker when they purchased it in 2016.
It was a leap of faith. It was bigger than we really had ever intended, and not just this house portion. It was the whole property we were looking at the time. I think just the vision of what it could be.
But one could argue success was already rooted in this once hallowed ground that was formerly known as the Boyle Racing Headquarters, home to three-time Indy 500 winner Wilbur Shaw, also known as the savior of the Speedway.
So in the 30s and 40s, it was the Boyle Racing Headquarters. We're 2 miles from Speedway. Wilbur Shaw went on to be the president of the IMS and helped save the actual Speedway from turning into a subdivision. It's just pretty cool that that was actually here in this spot.
And so far, it would appear Shaw's legacy is rubbing off on Gugman House. Since the microbrewery opened its doors in June of 2019, volume has increased nearly every month due to customer demand. Right now, the small family operation is manually canning over 1,500 cans of beer per week, selling around 95% of that, allowing the Gugmans, as they call themselves, to break ground on major expansion plans in the midst of a pandemic. So if we walk straight ahead.
So you'll walk straight ahead, and that's our tap room. And then over here is our event center. It can hold about 150 people.
And what I think is so incredible is the brick, and that's original?
That's original brick tile. It's Kalamazoo brick.
This is a huge investment. I mean, this place is amazing.
We kind of just felt like we had to jump all in. If we were going to go for it, we just went for it. And put all of our energy into this business to make it work. It's kind of week by week, figuring out what we're going to do, and not only in our current business model and figuring out how we're going to, looking ahead to the next week, the next month during a pandemic, but then at the same time trying to plan for this and keep the big vision there, and I guess not get scared by what's here, because we're looking ahead to the future.
And you can literally hear the future behind us.
Yeah.
Mary Rachel Redman, Inside Indiana Business.
And that expansion is expected to be finished by this spring. Well, also making headlines around Indiana this week in Pike County, the $2.5 million Elmer Bukta Tech Center is getting closer to officially opening. The Pike County Economic Development Corporation says the facility, which will include co-working space, maker space, as well as a business incubator, will open in early January. The EDC says the center is being funded in part by a $2 million grant from the Federal Economic Development Administration. A small business in Fort Wayne is in the spotlight after being named one of Oprah's favorite things. That list on Amazon. Cans, Designs, Family PJ Set is one of the Black-owned businesses Oprah is highlighting this year. Ashley Green is a former English teacher. She makes T-shirts and other clothing for parents and their families. Founded the company in 2014. She says they have increased sales and website traffic, I should say, by 350%, and sales up almost 750% since being included on Oprah's list. Coming up next, what local shopping this holiday season has to do with a group of goats raised by the Jonas family in southern Indiana. What these goats at Goat Milk Stuff in Scottsburg create could be a great stocking stuffer. Yelp's Brittany Smith has details on that and other Hoosier holiday gifts that ship in this month's Trinity Ann segment. Well, the National Retail Federation says nearly 60% of consumers in a recent survey indicated they are planning to shift to more online shopping this holiday season. And as many people opt to keep family and friends safe by celebrating from a distance, they are looking for deals to ship gifts. In this month's Trinity Ann segment, Yelp's Senior Regional Lead of Community and Marketing, Brittany Smith, joins us with more on what several Hoosier companies are offering to help get some of those gifts checked off your list. And Brittany, as always, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, not a surprise. The shift to online has been going on for a long time in shipping, but the pandemic maybe has really exacerbated that. So it's really a popular thing to do this holiday season.
Definitely. We've seen so many businesses in 2020 convert to offering e-commerce platforms, making it easier than ever for Hoosiers to support local businesses. So hopefully folks really think about all those local shops that they can support from the comfort of their couch this year.
Yeah, and one of those companies and shops, Silver in the City, has been around here in Indianapolis for a number of years, I think 20 years, and they're tops on your list this week.
Yeah, they're celebrating their 20th anniversary this year. A great woman-owned and operated business. It's a must-have staple. And when you think of Silver in the City, the beautiful things about it is they've got curbside offerings this year. As far as online goes for shipping, they're known for their puzzles, jewelry, houseware items, a lot of fun Hoosier-centric gifts there. Really creative, and inventory is always changing.
And certainly we always like to talk about alcohol in this segment. And Sip and Share Wines is another interesting story as well.
Yeah, with more and more people looking for experiential gifts, what better way to give the gift of a virtual wine tasting shipped to someone's door? This business just opened up in 2016, and it's really fun and creative. I had a blast myself doing their interactive wine tastings. Includes the bottles, the tasting mats, and they even were named in Forbes' lineup of 10 fantastic Black-owned wines across the nation this year.
Who doesn't love chocolate? Another Central Indiana shop, a Central Indiana company, Chocolate.
Yeah, this is another great experience or an example of an experience that you could have with coworkers or friends. Shipping a virtual chocolate tasting comes with multiple chocolates, and then you get a tasting kit, and you can really be learning something new while enjoying the chocolate. A
staple here in Central Indiana, Sam's Restaurant Group, coffee cake subscriptions, right?
Yeah, and this is such a beautiful example of businesses that are getting creative and innovating in response to COVID. You've probably known Sam's coffee cakes, but this year they teamed up with Hattie McDaniel, who was a former pastry chef at Cunningham Restaurant Group, made 13 fresh coffee cake recipes so folks can have them shipped each month. And this month in particular, they've got the figgy pudding with candied oranges.
And another woman in a Black-owned business, Circadian Coffee, is on the list.
Yeah, with more and more people working from home, the gift of coffee is especially popular this year. You can get a shipment of local coffee, and theirs is known as being very approachable and affordable, or another fun option for a stocking stuffer.
Got to get this one in. Unique, the Jonas family in Scottsburg, Southeast Indiana, goat milk stuff.
Yes, their herd of dairy goats are known for making some amazing products, ranging from natural deodorants to folks really loving that you can go to their website and search by your skin type to find what kind of products are best for you or for your loved ones that you're buying for.
And the whole family gets involved down there, right?
They definitely do. It's so cute. You can always see the kids at the register. The whole process, everybody's involved.
All right, Brittany Smith from Yelp, as always, gifts that ship. Thanks very much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much.
All right. In our next half hour, the frustration of getting basic health and care information about loved ones in senior care facilities. Now, an Indiana-based company has developed a platform to help. We'll tell you about safekeeping in the business of health. Also, Purdue University's Krannert School of Management increasing its portfolio of offerings. We'll talk with Krannert Dean David Hummels.
For families and clinicians, trying to communicate basic personal health information can be frustrating and time-consuming.
Zionsville-based Safekeeping says it has a business solution to bridge that communications gap, something many families face when it comes to getting important information about loved ones in long-term care facilities. How's Mom is the name of an app created by Safekeeping to streamline communication between long-term facilities and family members. The software as a service startup says business is booming, revenue growing nearly 400% this year. Business of Health reporter Kylie Valletta has more. Kylie.
Well, thank you very much, Gary. The pandemic has created incredible traction for safekeeping in 2020, as long-term care facilities have carried the heaviest burden of the COVID-19 crisis. Communication between those facilities and families has become more critical than ever before. 250 long-term care facilities throughout the country are already using the software, including about 50 in Indiana. Doug Wilcox is Safekeeping's co-founder and chief executive officer. He joins me now to tell us more about the growing company. Doug, thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, really, your personal experience is what gave birth to Safekeeping. Can you explain how what you went through helped give birth to this company?
Sure. So both Matt Prashik, my co-founder, and myself, we had very close relatives in extended stays in long-term care. And during that process, we found it very frustrating just to get basic health information of our loved ones. And at the same time, we recognized that it was also very frustrating for nurses and other caregivers to easily communicate that information back to family members. So we set out to develop a platform where we could better connect family with their loved ones' care data and do that in a convenient, real-time way, relevant real-time way, and to do it in the most convenient format, which is on connected devices. And that's what Safekeeping does.
All right, so let's talk about it a little bit. So the company is called Safekeeping. The app is How's Mom. So explain the nuts and bolts of your software and your app and really what it does.
Sure. So we have developed 2 integration partnerships with the largest electronic medical records providers in senior care. And so through that, we are already connected to all of our facilities, all of our customer facilities. So we take that information and we share it with family members, and we're really giving them new communication channels that they haven't had before, and that replaces old antiquated methods, which is numerous one-off phone calls and emails that were really time-consuming. And we do that in a couple of different ways. So through Safekeeping, our clients can now send out mass notifications and mass updates to all of their families at one time with just a couple of clicks. So it's very quick and very easy. And more importantly, we enable our clients to share personal health information with authorized family members. So things like vitals, medications, nutrition orders, other kinds of critical data, families can get in real time, whenever they want it, whenever they need it, and again, on their connected devices. So we're really helping our customers give better peace of mind and a better experience to their family members, which in the long term improves health outcomes overall.
And I know it's free. The app is free for the families to use. You mentioned
Correct.
the partnerships with the 2 largest electronic medical record platforms in the senior care area. Explain the significance of that, especially what it means for the facilities and their workflow.
Sure. Yeah, and it is significant and is key to what we do. So as I said before, because we're already integrated, we're already into their electronic medical records systems, what it means for our customers is that their care staff, there's no additional work, there's no duplication of entry, there's no change to processes or protocols, and there's no additional hardware or software that they have to manage. So as you said, that's very important for them because they already have staff that are being overrun with responsibilities. Short staff is a big problem in the industry. And so not only are we helping families connect better with their residents, with their loved ones, but it's also a significant operational efficiency tool for our customers that they use.
We mentioned earlier, you've seen nearly 400% revenue growth this year. Obviously, the pandemic has played a big role in that. Explain what the last 8 months have been like for business for your company.
Yeah, so COVID-19, the coronavirus, has obviously had a very positive impact on our business. And starting back in late February, early March, when it really started taking hold, we were overrun with calls and requests and interest in our platform. And that was because at that time, practically overnight, these senior care facilities were required to better communicate with family members. And that's precisely what we do, and we were very well positioned for that. And so, yeah, over the last year, we've gone through this significant growth period, and we've really helped, as you said, hundreds of facilities kind of navigate this COVID environment that we're now in. And as we continue to evolve through COVID, we feel we have a really good roadmap to continue to help our customers address the needs that they have now and that they will have as COVID changes. And the other thing is we hear on a daily basis from family members who tell us that the only way that they can keep in contact now with their loved ones is through safekeeping because of restricted visits or no visits at all. So a lot of times safekeeping and the How's Mom app is the only way that family members can keep in contact with their loved ones. And that's something that we really feel good about and something that we take very seriously.
All right. Well, Doug, I especially like the name How's Mom. I think it's a great connection to what you do. Thanks for being on the show today and telling us about your growth.
Thanks for having me. Thank you very much.
Sure. Gary, back to you.
All right, Kylie, thank you. Well, Purdue's Cranter School of Management, already ranked by Forbes as one of the top 50 business schools in the country, now offering new educational options aimed at strengthening the Indiana workforce. School has added a new online master's degree program for working professionals, a student and faculty consulting service, and a new undergrad degree in integrated business and engineering. For more on these important additions to Cranter's portfolio, pleased to be joined by Cranter School of Management Dean David Hummels. And Dean Hummels, welcome to the program as always.
Thanks, Gary. Really a pleasure to be here and talk with your audience about these new things we're doing.
Well, let's talk about these new additions because, you know, all schools, Cranter, of course, included, want to freshen up the offerings, add to the offerings. But I think now in this kind of new age of education, the focus is really a lot on flexibility and innovation. And I know as we were talking off camera, it's really at the heart of these new additions there at Cranter.
So I'll tell you, Gary, the pandemic has really given us a chance to practice what we preach to our Purdue students. You know, be prepared, be resilient, and be nimble enough to seize opportunity when it appears. And we think the opportunity is really around creating outstanding online programs aimed at advancing the careers of working professionals. As you were saying, you know, I think flexibility is key to this. And you know, we think about flexibility in three ways. Flexibility in what you take. So we actually have 6 new online master's programs that we've offered, that we've created and started just in the last couple of years. But apart from that, there's also opportunities for short courses, certificate programs that you can stack toward degrees, and that enables students to pursue the material that's important to them and offered when they want it.
Very interesting. Big focus online and to working professionals indeed. And the faculty there on the online course is the same faculty teaching the in-person classes there in West Lafayette. I should mention a new degree offering. It's really not a new, it's kind of a reboot of a previous degree program, Integrated Business and Engineering. What's that all about?
Well, you know, we think when you look at the world and you look at people who are solving big social problems, that, you know, whether that's world hunger or clean energy or even pandemic disease, it takes an understanding of science and engineering, but it also takes real business acumen. And so this is a degree in which students will pursue courses of study in both business and in engineering, and then they're integrated together in innovation labs where students are tasked with solving a real problem. This might mean designing new products or new services, or it might mean taking technologies emerging from the amazing labs that we have here at Purdue and finding ways to commercialize it to solve important market needs.
Yeah, and Lilly CEO Dave Ricks among those who graduated with that degree a number of years ago, so very interesting in that respect. The connection that Cranter has to business, Indiana businesses, but also businesses around the globe, has long been strong. But I know that's a focus right now to kind of re-engage or engage to a greater degree with businesses around the state of Indiana.
So absolutely, you know, a key to our land grant mission is how do we strengthen the economy of Indiana? And we think there are at least 2 ways that we can contribute in a really important way. You know, the first is through these degrees for working professionals so that companies who need to upgrade their talent can do it with their existing employees. People can take the skill sets they've got right now and really sort of amplify those in important ways. The second is we have built out some amazing student consultancies. So these are faculty-led student teams in a variety of areas. Business analytics is very popular, global supply chain, human resources, and so on. And our goal there is to take problems that companies are trying to solve, have the student teams work those problems, not just solve the problem for the company, but also the company get a sort of early look at the talent pipeline, who they might want to hire down the road.
And certainly Purdue is an institution that puts great graduates out into the global marketplace. But as a land-grant institution, that has a real impact, a real focus on that talent pipeline right here at home in Indiana.
You know, absolutely. We think that we succeed when Indiana succeeds and when Indiana business succeeds. And that's where we put a lot of our energy and effort.
Final question for you, Dean Hummels, as you look at your career in education, so different, so changing, does this new dynamic in education energize you as you get up and go to work every day and in what is a new environment, I assume, than what you started in maybe a number of years ago?
You know, it absolutely does. I had the honor of leading some of the initial efforts to try and help bring Purdue students back safely this fall. And that effort and working closely with our faculty in thinking about how we meet the unique challenges of the pandemic has really unleashed a tsunami of creativity within the school in terms of the research we do, but also in terms of how we better serve our students and how we serve the community. I have to tell you, there has been more collaborative, creative, problem-solving energy in the last 6 months than I think I've seen at any comparable point in my entire 25-year academic career. There are going to be some great things that come out of this unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah, it's a very positive way to end the interview. David Hummels is the Dean of the Krannert School of Management at Purdue. David, thanks very much, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Really, my pleasure. Thanks, Gary.
All right. Well, up next, the Indiana Pacers preparing to tip off another NBA season. A new coach, the same players, and lots of unanswered questions about how the pandemic will impact fans being able to watch inside Bankers Life Fieldhouse. We get more from General Manager Chad Buchanan in this week's Inside Indiana Sports.
I never ever came out and said that I didn't want to play for the Pacers or be in this organization. I'm just focused on me and improving, focused on my team, and being my best version of myself so I can help this team, this organization, and this city win a championship.
Indiana Pacers star Victor Oladipo on his commitment to stay with the blue and gold. The Pacers begin the 2020-21 regular season in just a few weeks. They have a new coach, and almost all of the players are back from last season. What is not clear is whether fans will be allowed into Bankers Life Fieldhouse to watch the team play. Bill Benner has a preview of what's to come now inside Indiana Sports. Bill, over to you.
Gary, thanks. After an abbreviated offseason unlike any other, the Pacers have begun training camp looking ahead to a season opening game possibly as soon as December 22nd. Two positives, Domas Sabonis, who missed the playoffs with a foot injury, is back, and the aforementioned Victor Oladipo appears to be 100%. Joining us today to offer a preseason assessment is Pacers General Manager Chad Buchanan. And Chad, welcome. Thanks for making time to join us.
Glad to join you guys today, Bill.
Well, and let's talk about the one big new thing, and that's Nate Bjorken coming in from Toronto, where they had fantastic world championship success. We've heard about a modern up-tempo offense, a disruptive defense. Just talk about what you think Nate will bring to the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, sure. You know, Nate brings a lot of energy to the table. First off, he's a glass half full personality. He's a dreamer at heart, which I think really made an impression on us in the interview process. You know, his belief in how he coaches and what he does, what he emphasizes, how he deals with players. I think the positive kind of tone to that will really resonate with this group. You know, he's got a lot of ideas. He's an outside the box thinker. You know, working under Nick Nurse for as long as he did. Nick has a reputation of being, you know, kind of, you know, thinking, you know, very creatively. And I think Nate will be a reflection of a lot of that. And that's what was something we, prioritized when we went through the interview process, was finding a coach that was, willing to do things a little differently and willing to try, play different guys in different positions and defend a little differently. And I think our players will take a little time getting adjusted to that because, Coach McMillan and his staff did a great job of establishing a lot of principles and foundation with this team. And I think, Nate, Bjork, new Nate, we call him, has a lot of ideas that he's going to implement that I think will really help this group.
Chad, player-wise, the Pacers stood pat for basically, but let's start with, obviously, we heard from Victor Oladipo the other day. He says he's committed to Indianapolis, wants to win a championship here, and hopefully 100%. And then Domas Sabonis, we mentioned in the tease that he missed the playoffs with a foot injury, and certainly it's going to be great to hopefully have both of your most recent All-Stars back and leading this roster.
Yeah, absolutely. Both those guys are, core players to this group and this team. We didn't have, Victor was, never really completely healthy last year he played, but I don't think he would admit I wasn't myself at that point physically. And then Domas, obviously not having him in the bubble, our team really responded, well in the seeding games, and we struggled in the playoffs without him. And, having everybody healthy, we're also missing Jeremy Lamb, who was a starter for us the majority of the year until Victor came back, and then a key piece off our bench. We didn't have him as well. So, we didn't make a lot of changes to the roster. We looked at different options in free agency, but ultimately decided, hey, this group has had a lot of success last year. We get everybody healthy. We have a new coach bringing a different approach. Nate was very adamant about wanting to keep this team together. He wanted to coach this group, and that, factored into some of our decision making. But I think this team has great chemistry together. Victor, I think, will be more healthy this year. He's motivated to prove, that he's back to, what he used to be. And I think Domas really wants to build off of kind of a breakout season that he had. And we've got a lot of other players around him that I think are primed to play, better and under our new coach. And I think, this team is sometimes making change just to make change with the roster isn't always the right move. And we wanted to see this group together, hopefully healthy with a new coach, and see where we can go.
Obviously, two other mainstays. Malcolm Brogdon had his career highs last year in points, rebounds, assists. And then T.J. Warren, he really stepped forward in the playoffs. Unfortunately, a loss to Miami, but T.J. Warren was terrific.
Yeah, TJ thrived on the bubble. I think he was hoping we would go back there for the rest of the season. But it was a great opportunity for him. He slid over, played a little more power forward position at times. And, without Domas on the floor, we needed somebody else to kind of step forward and become, more productive offensively. And TJ was phenomenal for us, as was Miles. Miles had, a good performance down the bubble, as did Malcolm. And, I think TJ this year wants to build off of that. I think he'll have a little more of a target on his back this year because of his success, in Orlando. And I think he'll be ready for that. He wants more of a role. He wants to be a key piece of this team moving forward. And I think, Nate Bjorken, you actually coached him when he was coaching in the G League when TJ was assigned as a member of the Phoenix Suns. And so there was already a relationship between those two guys. And I think Nate knows what TJ is capable of doing. I think you'll see him maximize his talent.
Well, Chad, we certainly appreciate you coming on the show. I do want to mention breaking news. Malcolm Brogdon named the Walter Kennedy Citizenship Award by the Professional Basketball Writers Association. A tremendous honor. Chad, thank you for being on the program. We can't wait to see basketball back at Bankers Life Fieldhouse, and good luck to everybody as the season unfolds.
Thanks, Bill. Stay safe. It's almost time for Pacer Hoops. Let's go.
All right. Thanks, Chad. Gary, back to you.
Yeah, can't wait to see hoops at Bankers Life, a new Bankers Life, looking really good down there. Thanks very much, Bill. Well, up next, a first-of-its-kind Indianapolis organization aimed at funding and promoting black artists and entrepreneurs. How the pandemic and recent civil unrest helped to create the startup Gang Gang. More on its mission when we come back. Well, when the dust settled from civil unrest this summer, an interesting artistic dynamic emerged. Indiana's black and minority community took the opportunity to share their creative talents, whether it was through painting images on boarded up businesses in several Hoosier cities or designing a colorful Black Lives Matter mural on Indiana Avenue in downtown Indianapolis. That was the inspiration, at least part of it, behind Gang Gang, an Indianapolis-based cultural development firm that says it is on a mission to produce, promote, and preserve culture to grow the creative economy. For more on this unique initiative, pleased to be joined by Gang Gang co-founders Molly Jeffers and Alan Bacon. And welcome to the program. Great to see you both as always.
It's great to see you.
Thank you for having us.
Really interesting, and congratulations on the startup. It's always a challenging but exciting time to start a business at Initiative, and this is truly a very interesting initiative. Talk about the spark. I mentioned the civil unrest and what we saw unfold not only here in Indianapolis but around the country. That really was kind of a spark, Molly, right, to form the company.
It was actually, over the summer, we began thinking about, the new world, right? A post-pandemic and post-global civil rights movement world, how we could rebuild and revive the world, the economy with equity in mind. And we wanted to do something real, right? We wanted cities and Indianapolis to kind of take it a few steps further past, DEI plans and do something that felt tangible and authentic. We wanted to hone in on the creative economy, to hone in on culture, which is where, people connect most, which is where humanity connects. And so we landed there.
Yeah, and as you think of just the connection, and just, we've been having so many conversations and dialogue about what divides us all. I mean, culture is a way, once again, as Molly stated, as that we connect as humans, and we plan to produce more culture, which will in turn produce our ability and enhance our ability to come together.
Gang Gang, got to know, what's that name all about? It's really an intriguing name. How did you come up with the name?
It is an intriguing name. It's fun. It's kind of trendy, but we're word people. So we actually dove into the original meaning of gang, which was actually a journey or a way. And then later in Middle English, it was a set of things or people which go someplace together. So, we use the word in its original definition versus kind of how it's being used now, which is to criminalize groups of Black men. We use it to mean, people on a journey together.
Yeah, Alan, weigh in on this, and Molly, you can too as well, but the premise, businesses owned by people of color continue to be underfunded, yet people of color have shaped American society. It's time to pay the culture back, literally. That's kind of a part of your mission statement.
Yeah, and we want to pay the culture back, and we also understand that it's harder for women and people of color to find startup dollars or capital for your idea or product. We're just understanding that it's harder for women, persons of color to acquire startup capital that are actually in the creative space as well, and just those barriers that we're looking to eliminate.
You're getting a lot of traction early on. You just launched the company, but the Central Indiana Community Foundation, GLIC, Simon Family Foundation, a lot of people like the idea. How are you going to do it? In what ways are you going to do what you want to do?
Yeah, so we're going to tackle this in two ways. But one, culture is the leading product and idea, but we'll inject more culture in cities. One, and then two, we'll start to invest into the creative economy through cultural entrepreneurs and startups.
Yeah, go ahead, Molly.
Well, I was going to say, Gary, you mentioned our funders. I just, want to shout out. We are incredibly thankful to the Central Indiana Community Foundation, who's actually incubating Gang Gang. Just, much like you see in the tech sector, we're doing the same in the culture sector now, where CICF is incubating a cultural startup within their organization. So we are so thankful for their support, as well as the GLIC Fund and the Herbert Simon Family Foundation.
Yeah, we've just only got about 20 seconds left, but you've got big plans for Gang Gang, not only here in Indianapolis, but ultimately, you've just launched, but ultimately beyond Indianapolis and even beyond Indiana.
That's right. Yeah, we're starting in Indy. This is our home. This is, the place that we love most. And so we're going to try things here. And then, yes, we'll launch out to the Midwest and then to, the larger nation and invest in the national creative economy there. We're excited.
Very good. Molly Jeffers and Alan Bacon, the co-founders of Gang Gang. Really appreciate you taking the time to be on. Exciting venture you are embarking on right now. Look forward to following your progress.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Talk to you soon. And I'll be right back after this. Coming up next week, the International School of Indiana celebrating the groundbreaking of the Chin Family Lower School. Head of school, Elizabeth Head, here with why it's part of a bigger picture. Thanks for joining us this week. I'm Gary Dick. Go out and make it a successful week.
Inside Indiana Business with Gary Dick is a production of Grow Indiana Media Ventures with support from WFYI Productions.